Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the job conference of FTU. Thanks for coming here and listening to my presentation. My name is Nguyễn Thanh Huyền, coming from class A11 Foreign Chess University. As you know, most of applicants are required to take part in an interview, so it's essential for them to have some tips and skills right now. Understanding how important to get an interview skill. Today, I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts in the job interview. So, to make it easier to follow my speech, I have an agenda for you. Have a look at this. There are three main parts in my presentation. First, I begin by giving you the importance of preparation before having an interview. And then, I'll go on to some do's and don'ts during the interview. And finally, I want to show you something you should do after having an interview. Remember that I'm willing to get any questions from you if you are not clear about any tips in my presentation. I will be happy to answer them. Okay, let's get started. First of all, I want to begin the first part by giving you a question. Have you ever had an interview? And if the answer is yes, what do you think about the importance of the preparation before having an interview? I myself have an uncle whom I respect so much. He once told me that when he was young, he had had many interviews, and the percentage of value is 98%. He lost many good jobs, and after that, he had a lot of experience, and he continued finding jobs from his own experience. So now, he is working as the manager's human resource department in Samsung Group. When I carry out some preparation steps for the presentation, I really want to pick up some real advice from him, and luckily, he was very willing to help me. He gave me some keys and the most important things to remember when preparing for any interview. Number one, find out the information about the company before you are interviewed, such as history, achievements, and big competitors. Number two, think about the reason why you would like to work for them. And number three, prepare some ways to answer common interview questions. I also give you some tips to answer any tough question in the next part. Number four, think about the question you are going to ask and so that you are interested about the company. Number five, pay much attention about your dressing, appearance, and personal grooming. Last, start going to arrive on time. And finally, the message I want to show you when telling story about my uncle is that let's consider an interview is a chance to show your ability in communicating, responding, and to test your confidence. Be yourself, and this is the first step of a successful interview. So, what is going to be next? Let's move to the second stage. I will show you some do's and don'ts during the interview. I divide this part into three smaller parts. The first part is what you should do. The second part is what you shouldn't do. And the last part is some common tough questions and the way to answer them reasonably. Well, to make it more natural, please imagine that you are having an interview. And now, let's concentrate on do's and don'ts during the interview. What you should do first. The first, be enthusiastic and honest. Allow your personality to shine through. The second, be yourself right from the start, turning up the volume on the bits that match the job and turning down the volume on those that don't. However, never shut the volume out entirely, as you will be pretending to be someone you are not. You know, a sure recipe for disaster, the first impressions are incredibly important. Thirdly, conduct yourself as though you were determined to get the job you are discussing. Never close the doors of an opportunity. And lastly, do need to look after the people who are interviewing you so that you know how to communicate and relate to people, asking surprising questions. And secondly, we've moved to that what you shouldn't do in order not to fall in the interview. Number one, don't tell lie. You can be judicious with the truth, but lies have a tendency to return and bite you in the bum. Even if they don't know you've lied, you'll be giving out signals that give away something is wrong. And number two, don't ever make negative remarks about your present or former bosses or companies. It's a bad form. The information word is a small one and it will not reflect well on you if you seem to have a chip on the shoulder or a negative attitude. Number three, avoid inquiries so much about salary, holidays, bonuses, or retirement, etc. during the first interview. But because they are also important, ask about them in a clever way. Number four, don't say, "It's on my CV," or show an arrogant or know-it-all attitude. And number five, remember not to stare out at your hand or at the wall while answering questions. Look into the interviewer's eyes and don't forget to smile. Well, I think what I have mentioned above is enough for you to avoid basic mistakes when being interviewed. I want to emphasize that all I give you above is just some advice and some real experience that the other have passed. Put them in your own position. And now, I will share some tips and the last part of the second stage. There are some questions that most of the companies use when giving an interview. The first one, why do you want to work here? To answer this question, you must have a research of the company, kept your answer with the reference to your belief that this can provide you a stable and happy work environment. The second one, why are you leaving your previous job? If your current company is not meeting your expectation, you can often explain this in a positive way like, I need to be challenged to develop my potential further. I'm interested in additional responsibilities and new opportunity, which unfortunately limited when working in that company. It's the ideal environment I've been seeking. But it is a smart answer, I think so. Thirdly, how long would you stay with the company? Your reply might be, well, I would really like to settle down with this company. As long as I'm growing professionally, there is no reason for me to take a move. And the last question, how much do you expect your salary? This is a knockout question. Give the wrong answer and you will immediately be eliminated. Generally, companies have salary ranges for every job. You know, giving an ill-considered answer can reduce the job offer chances to zero. So, what is the solution? Try it. Currently, in my last job, my package is at your salary. I'm interested in the opportunities and I will seriously consider any reasonable offer you care to make me. Yes, let's answer like that.
Yeah.
Well, that covered the last part. So, do you feel more convinced and confident enough to have an interview? And if you say yes, why don't we come to the last part to search for what you should do after having an interview? Or we simply call job interview follow-up. You know that many places don't automatically let people know if they haven't got the job. So, one follow-up is allowable. No matter how badly you think the interview went, if you want the job, always send a follow-up interview thank you letter. Use phrase such as, I've given a lot of thought to our interview and blah blah blah. Something you mentioned got me thinking. And one more thing, the last of all, an advice from my heart. If you don't get the job, although you follow the advice above, and you are curious why not, don't hesitate phoning up and get some feedback. It may help you for the next interview, like my uncle did. But I do hope that you will win the job you're hunting with a perfect interview. Well, I think that's enough for my presentation. Is there any question? If not, thanks for listening and see you at the next conference. One more time, wish you a happy job hunting.